The Chosen Season 6 trailer has shaken the hearts of millions with just a glimpse into the final hours of the most powerful story ever told. We are no longer spectators to miracles or parables. We are stepping into betrayal, into agony, into blood-stained truth. Everything is about to change. The soft teachings are over. The storm has arrived. In this new chapter, the world doesn't just watch Jesus, it turns against him. And as the trailer reveals the haunted faces of the apostles, the cruel weight of injustice, and the silent strength of Christ, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear: this is not just a season. This is the moment history broke open. Filming for Season 6 of The Chosen has nearly reached its final frame, and the trailer now confirms what many have feared and hoped. This season is going to shatter us. Dallas Jenkins has called it the most spiritually grueling project he's ever directed, and just watching the footage proves him right. The sneak peek wastes no time. It doesn't build slowly, it throws us into the fire. Jesus is no longer walking freely among crowds. He is being dragged, accused, silenced. From the first second, the tone is darker, heavier, painfully intimate. This isn't the hopeful beginning anymore. This is the fallout. This is Gethsemane. This is betrayal. This is the roar of the Sanhedrin echoing through marble halls. You see Peter screaming, trying to fight, trying to defend, but his voice is swallowed by chaos. You see John paralyzed by helplessness. You see Mary fall to her knees, unable to breathe as the guard sees her son. And through all of it, Jesus remains still. That calm, unshakable silence. It cuts deeper than any scream ever could. The trailer doesn't speak in loud declarations. It whispers, and yet somehow it shouts louder than anything we've seen before. A whisper of pain, of sacrifice, of destiny moving closer with every second. But what truly sets this trailer apart is not just the plot it teases, it's the emotion it unleashes. The sorrow is not distant, it's personal. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in the tremble of Jonathan Rumi's eyes as Jesus accepts the burden he was born to carry. You feel it in the way the apostles look at each other, knowing they are watching the end begin, and not one of them is ready. And neither are we. The trailer shows brief flashes of Jesus being brought before the high priest, of false witnesses stumbling over their lies, of Roman torches blazing in the dead of night, and of Pilate watching the crowd, his face torn between politics and truth. We're not just heading into the crucifixion, we are being dragged there alongside him. And somehow, even though we know how this story ends, it still feels like we're holding our breath, praying for an escape that won't come. The trailer doesn't let us look away. It demands we feel it all. The fear, the fury, the heartbreak. And it succeeds. The trailer doesn't just tease the fall of Jesus. It shows the unraveling of every person around him. And the first thread to snap is Peter. He was once the rock, the loudest voice, the boldest disciple. But now, we see him breaking under pressure. In one fleeting moment, his eyes scream with guilt, his fists shake with helplessness, and his denial, yes, the moment we all feared, is almost unbearable to watch. The camera doesn't need to show the rooster crowing to make your heart drop. It's in the silence. It's in the flicker of horror across Peter's face as he realizes what he's just done, that he denied the very man who gave him everything. And that pain doesn't go away. The trailer hints that Peter's guilt might haunt him for the rest of the season, making him one of the most emotionally shattered figures in this chapter of the story. But Peter isn't the only one descending into darkness. Judas Iscariot is seen in glimpses, fewer than the others, but every glance is loaded with tension. His betrayal is no longer just a coming event, it's now a chilling reality. He's crossed the line. The trailer shows him slipping into the shadows, exchanging whispers with priests, and staring at Jesus with eyes full of something far more complex than hate. It's fear, regret, confusion. And yet, he walks the path anyway. You can feel the weight in his steps, like even he doesn't fully understand why he did it, or what he's become. And it's that emotional conflict that makes Judas terrifying. Not because he's a villain, but because he's human. And that makes his betrayal feel even more personal, more tragic. It forces us to see ourselves in him, even when we don't want to. Mary Magdalene is another pillar in this storm, and the trailer shows her being pushed beyond her limits. She's not just mourning, she's breaking. Watching someone you love get mocked, beaten, and dragged through political games is soul-crushing, and Elizabeth Tabish captures that agony with a kind of quiet devastation that words can't touch. The trailer shows her gripping onto others for support, crying out in moments of silence, and standing frozen as soldiers shout orders and chaos swirls around her. She's the emotional heartbeat of this season, and as the pain deepens, she refuses to look away. That's what makes her powerful. That's what makes her heartbreak feel like our own. Because Mary, more than anyone, has seen who Jesus really is. And watching the world strip him down to a criminal, it's unbearable. Then there's Pontius Pilate, a man caught in a storm he can't control. His scenes in the trailer are drenched in political dread. He's sweating, pacing, hesitating. You can almost hear his inner voice screaming for an exit. He doesn't want to crucify Jesus, but the pressure is too much. The trailer gives us a glimpse of his desperate bargain with the crowd, the offer to free either Jesus or Barabbas. And when the crowd roars for Barabbas, the horror on Pilate's face is unmistakable. He knows he's about to make the most infamous decision in human history, and he can't stop it. His hands tremble. His voice cracks. And yet, he gives the order. The trailer captures the moment just before that order is spoken. A second stretched into eternity. And that silence hits harder than any line of dialogue could. It's a full emotional confrontation. Each character is standing at the edge of their personal breaking point. Some fall, some fight, some run, and we're pulled along with every single one of them. The trailer demands we feel every conflict, every betrayal, every second of regret. It's not just about what happens, it's about what it costs. And in the next section, we'll explore exactly how the trailer showcases the magnitude of Jesus' suffering and the incredible scope of production behind these devastating moments. From blood-stained trials to the whispers of resurrection, this story is only getting deeper and darker. The brutal, deliberate unraveling of Jesus begins in Gethsemane, where the trailer gives us a glimpse of his final moments of freedom. But even here, there is no peace. The garden, once a place of quiet prayer, is soaked in dread. Jesus is not surrounded by adoring followers, but by sleeping disciples, unaware of the storm approaching. The trailer gives us only seconds of this, but they are enough. You see Jesus fall to his knees, face trembling, breath shallow, whispering those devastating words, "Not my will, but yours be done." And from that moment on, the suffering begins. The arrest in the garden is brutal. There are no drawn-out speeches or slow transitions. It's chaos. Torches, swords, screaming, and silence. Jesus does not resist. He doesn't plead. He steps forward, offering himself while the apostles panic, while Peter reaches for his blade, and the soldiers descend like wolves. The trailer captures the violence not just in action, but in emotion. You don't need to see every blow to feel the weight of betrayal as Judas steps forward. The look exchanged between Jesus and Judas is haunting. No hatred, only heartbreak. And as the guard sees him, the world begins to fracture. From there, the trailer speeds up, flashing through scenes that feel more like wounds than moments. Jesus is brought before Annas, the former high priest, a man cloaked in influence and venom. The interrogation is relentless. They question him about his teachings, about his disciples. They accuse, they prod, they wait for him to break. But Jesus does not argue. He speaks plainly. "I have spoken openly to the world." The trailer shows the slap, sudden, savage, meant to humiliate, and Jesus' silent response is more powerful than any outburst could be. He stands firm, bleeding, calm in the face of rising madness. Then comes Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin. The trailer gives us rapid glimpses of the chaos in that chamber. Robed men shouting over each other, false witnesses stumbling through contradictions, and Jesus standing alone at the center of it all. And then, the question that seals his fate. Are you the Messiah? What follows is a thunderclap in the form of a whisper. "You have said so," he replies, and then declares the unthinkable. "From now on, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power, and coming on the clouds of heaven, the room erupts. Clothes are torn, blasphemy is declared, and yet again, Jesus does not resist. He accepts the judgment, knowing exactly where this road leads. And the trailer doesn't shy away from showing us where it ends. The Roman phase begins, and the tone shifts from religious outrage to political manipulation. Jesus is taken to Pilate, and the trailer shows the governor's torment. Pilate doesn't want this. He sees through the lies, through the envy. He asks Jesus directly, "Are you the king of the Jews?" The response, calm, direct, "You say that I am." No defiance, no denial, just the unshakable truth. And with that, Pilate is trapped. The trailer shows his struggle, his attempts to pass the problem to Herod, his desperate offers to release Jesus, his final act of washing his hands, a symbolic attempt to escape the weight of history. But no water can cleanse what he's about to do. Herod's scene in the trailer is especially chilling. He expects a performance, a miracle, something to entertain. But Jesus says nothing. The silence is unbearable. And in that silence, Herod mocks him, dresses him in royal robes, laughs in his face, then sends him back to Pilate as if the Son of God were just a failed magician. The humiliation is complete, and still, Jesus speaks no words of vengeance. The trailer gives us one moment, one piercing moment, of Jesus walking through a corridor, blood on his face, mocked, alone, and yet his eyes hold the weight of eternity. It is a moment that crushes the soul. Then comes the most disturbing part of the trailer, the preparation for crucifixion. We see glimpses of the flogging, the mocking, the crown of thorns pressed into his skull, the soldiers laughing, striking him, kneeling in mock worship. And through it all, the camera never lets us forget his humanity. His body trembles, his skin tears, his blood pours. And yet, there is no hatred in his eyes, only purpose, only love. The contrast is unbearable. How can one man endure this? How can divinity remain silent while injustice screams? The trailer reveals that these scenes were not just shot with artistic excellence, but with spiritual reverence. Every frame looks drenched in reality. The production quality is unlike anything The Chosen has done before. The use of locations like Matera, Italy, and the haunting lighting gives everything an almost otherworldly feel, as if we are watching not just history, but destiny. And the actors, they are not performing. They are embodying. Jonathan Rumi is no longer playing Jesus. He is Jesus in these scenes. His face tells a story no script could write. His silence, his tears, his resolve, it's all there. You feel it. You carry it with you. And let's talk about the weight behind the camera. Dallas Jenkins has not just directed a season, he has directed an emotional battlefield. 86 days of filming, locations across continents, a production budget of over $30 million, $16 million crowdfunded by people who believe in this story. That fact alone makes every scene feel sacred. This isn't a show anymore. It's a movement. It's a global outpouring of faith, pain, and hope captured on screen. And the trailer honors that. It tells us, without needing to say it outright, that this season is not meant to entertain. It is meant to transform. But even in the depths of pain, betrayal, and injustice, the story of The Chosen Season 6 does not end with defeat. It ends at the very edge of something eternal. The trailer leaves us standing on that edge, staring into the shadow of the cross. Yes, but also into the rising promise of something greater. Because while the crucifixion is the climax of suffering, it is not the end of the story. The trailer closes not with silence, but with a heartbeat. A sound so subtle, so soft, and yet so loud, it echoes into eternity. It's a whisper of what's coming. And it's this final section of the trailer that dares to remind us there is still hope. We see flashes of the aftermath. The apostles scattered, terrified, broken. The trailer shows Thomas hiding, Matthew in tears, and Peter alone, crushed beneath the weight of his own failure. The world has fallen silent. Jesus has been crucified. The skies have darkened. The earth has trembled. And in this silence, the grief is unbearable. Mary, once so strong, is seen clinging to his robe, stained with blood, her face blank with disbelief. There are no speeches now, no more parables, just the sound of mourning, the sound of loss, the sound of the world without its light. And yet, the trailer dares to offer one final thread of hope. There is a glimpse, a tiny, precious glimpse of something beyond the tomb. It's not confirmed, not explained, but it's there. A soft light flickering across stone, a shadow of movement where none should be, a breath where breath had ceased. The trailer knows it cannot give us resurrection just yet, but it gives us permission to wait for it, to long for it, to believe that even after the greatest darkness, the story is not over. That belief is what holds the final seconds together. Not action, not drama, but faith. And surrounding this story is a production that has gone beyond television. The Resurrection is not just an episode, it is set to be a full theatrical release, a cinematic experience arriving in Easter 2028. That in itself speaks volumes. This story is no longer bound to streaming platforms or small screens. It's reaching for something grander, a way to make the gospel feel as epic and sacred as it truly is. Dallas Jenkins has confirmed that Season 6 is the setup, the heartbreak, the sacrifice, and Season 7 will be the fulfillment, the final movement, the resurrection, and beyond. But for now, we're left standing at the cross, not because the story ends there, but because we need to feel the weight before we can rise with it. And this weight is shared by everyone involved. Jonathan Rumi's own words echo long after the trailer ends that this was the most difficult performance of his life, that carrying the burden of Christ's final hours took everything from him emotionally and spiritually. And you can see it. You can feel it in every frame. This isn't a performance. This is a surrender, a giving over of oneself to something greater. Elizabeth Tabish also spoke of the devastation of filming these scenes, of watching someone you love be destroyed and not being able to stop it. These aren't just actors. They are vessels, carrying the emotional burden of the most sacred story in human history. And that's why Season 6 isn't just a season, it's a spiritual reckoning. The response to the trailer proves this. Millions of fans have already reacted, weeping, stunned, unable to speak. Social media is filled with people saying they couldn't breathe watching it, that they were shaken to their core. And it's no surprise. This story, when told with this much reverence, detail, and heart, becomes more than fiction. It becomes personal. It becomes real. And this trailer is not trying to hype us up. It's trying to prepare us for the pain, for the silence, for the crucifixion, but also for what comes next. Because even though Season 6 ends with death, it does not die there. It points forward to an empty tomb, to a voice calling out in the darkness, to light bursting through the cracks of a sealed stone. It tells us to wait, to hold on, to believe. And that is what makes The Chosen unlike anything else on television. It doesn't just want you to watch, it wants you to feel, to wrestle, to break, and then to rise again. So as we wait for the full release, coming to Prime Video in 2026, with the Crucifixion episode premiering in theaters on May 12th, 2027, we do so with hearts wide open, not just anticipating another season, but preparing for a sacred encounter. This isn't fiction, this is faith in motion, a divine story told through human hands. And The Chosen Season 6 trailer has made one thing devastatingly clear. We are not ready for what's coming, but it's coming anyway.